The last few months of video games have been dry to say the least. Thankfully the drought is soon to end and I wanted to help you out and just talk video games. So here are 8 games that are coming out in the second half of 2022 that I'm genuinely looking forward to playing and I think you absolutely need to keep on your radar.
Hide.
The first game I wanted to talk about is Forspoken. I've honestly been so excited to play this game after the initial reveal trailer back in March 2021 last year. It's being made by Square Enix and to my knowledge is the first big budget isekai video game to ever release. The game comes out in late 2022 and it says here, Alright, well then, how about we just talk about Starfield then? You know, it's Bethesda's new ambitious open world game coming out on...
Another one.
Okay, in all seriousness, there's been a lot of games that have been delayed from 2022 into 2023. Now keep in mind, delays are the new normal and game releases can change dramatically now, but it does feel weird that this is the new state of video games. More on that in another video. The first game I'm actually excited for is still being developed by Square Enix. It's Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion. A single-player JRPG action-adventure game. It's a remake of the older PSP game Crisis Core. If you missed this game's announcement, don't worry, it's not you. This game has been on the down low of promotional material. Square Enix announced the title during its Final Fantasy VII 25th anniversary stream. Typically, these streams are pretty meh, but this year's one was incredible. Scouring the internet, it seems like they're calling this one a remaster, and well, if that's the case, it's one of the most visually impressive remasters I've ever seen. But I mean, maybe we've just become so desensitized with the influx of half-baked remasters over the last few years that now we no longer understand what a proper remaster is. All that aside, this game looks pretty great. As a fan of Final Fantasy VII Remake who never played the original or OG Crisis Core in 2007, I feel like this game is perfectly geared towards me. If you're in the same boat as me and you like action-based hack and slash games, I think there's a good chance this game is going to be a treat to play. The game is slated for a winter release, which theoretically means it could still come out in 2022. The next game I wanted to talk about is Stray. You know, that adorable cat simulator the internet's been freaking out about. This game is currently all the buzz in the video game space. I mean, according to Steam 250, a website designed to collate and compose review scores from Steam, Stray has officially overthrown God of War and has become 2022's highest rated Steam game. To be clear, that doesn't mean it's inherently a better game, but it is cool to see an indie game getting that much love. Stray is an adorable single-player, cat-based sci-fi platformer from Blue 12, a brand new gaming studio. Stray starts you off exploring a lush, overgrown concrete environment with a bunch of your cat pals, before tragedy strikes.
Oh no!
Your little feline finds itself now stranded in an undercity infested with a strange virus and occupied by human-like robots. Right off the bat, the premise of this game is super interesting. And while this game by no means breaks new ground, it's a fun and welcome diversion from all the big games to come out on this list. The game is pretty short, clocking in at only 4 hours long, but I personally think it makes up for that with its inherent charm and smaller price tag. Not every game needs to have that Assassin's Creed Valhalla bloat, if you know what I'm saying.
And that's a fact.
And hey, you can also pick this one up with PlayStation Plus Extra, which is pretty neat to see. The game's already out. It released on July 19th, meaning you can literally dive right into this game right now and check it out. Now please don't cast me out, but honestly for this next game, I thought the first iteration, A Plague Tale Innocence, was overhyped and a bit mid. That's not to say there aren't great things to say about it, but the combat, stealth, poor lip sync, and a rather slow burn plot took me out of the game a number of times. However, the sequel, A Plague Tale Requiem, a single-player action-adventure meets stealth game, looks gorgeous and will hopefully be a great evolution of what came before it. I mean, I think if they can tighten up some of those gripes I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna really enjoy this one. The game is developed by Asobo Studio and follows on where the first game left off. You play as Amicia Delrune, and you're tasked with protecting your younger brother Hugo. The best thing about the first game was the world they created. It is set in a fantasized 14th century France, inundated by war and plagues. The world, whilst feeling dirty, broken, broken and riddled with vultures, also beseeches small fragmented glimmers of hope. The general premise is tried and true. Our characters are young, their youthful ideologies are entrenched in childlike optimism. Unbeknownst to them are the harsh realities of the world, and it seems like those themes, particularly the brokenness of the world, will continue to ring true in the sequel. I'm excited to see how our two young protagonists will deal with the myriad of challenges they will encounter, and here's hoping we continue to see them grow, learn, and adapt in meaningful ways. I will say this as well, the latest gameplay released looked a bit stiff on the facial animation side of things, but hey, I reserve my judgment until the release, which by the way is October 18th, 2022. Additionally, if you have Xbox Game Pass, you're actually going to be able to pick this one up day one at no additional cost. The next game to look out for is WB Games Montreal's Gotham Knights. A quick spoiler warning for those who haven't played Batman Arkham Knight. This game is unequivocally confirmed to not be set in the Arkhamverse. Whilst I thought this had been confirmed many times, I still stumble upon people lurking in comment sections thinking the latter. So let the record show. Batman being dead in both universes is a happy coincidence. So, Batman being dead and all means we need to play as different characters, and this game gives you the freedom to play and traverse Gotham City as one of 4 playable characters. There's Batgirl, Nightwing, Robin, and Red Hood, all of which have unique movesets and traversal mechanics that look pretty great in their own right. As stated, this game is being developed by WB Games Montreal, the same team that made Arkham Origins. So whilst that means they have experience working in the Batman world, it's not necessarily something to get super excited about. But what is something to get excited about is the antagonist of the game, namely the Court of Owls. They were originally introduced in the comic run titled Batman Volume 2, Issue 2 in December 2011. Their objective is to embody the role of a secret society of the world, akin to stuff like the Illuminati, a hidden mafia, or the Cabal. They operate silently in the shadows and pull all the strings like a puppet master. When done well, I absolutely love these villain archetypes, and I think there is great potential here for them to take the Batman universe in intriguing and interesting new ways. Not to mention, I'm just excited to see how our heroes discover the Court of Owls. I imagine it's like pulling on a string. They just pull on a small little crack, some little clue, only to find out how deep the rabbit hole really goes. Surprisingly, the game is also multiplayer. However, as is the trend with many co-op video games nowadays, it's soured by the fact there is no couch co-op. Personally, I feel like the eradication of couch co-op games is just super lame, but I digress. The graphics, the gameplay look like what you'd expect from an action-adventure Batman game, and Gotham Knights comes out on October 25th, 2022. Number 4 is 2022's annual Pokemon release, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Game Freak's next iteration in their mega franchise is set in the Paldea region, a new open world region inspired by Spain. It seems like they're going with a new approach with this game. First, the region's legendary Pokemon will be introduced earlier in the game and double as your traversal mechanics. I mean, they're literally transforming into gliders and motorcycles.
It's a transformer!
The second interesting addition is that this game is going to be an open world game in a more realized way than previous entries. Speaking of previous gen, real talk, I played Sword and Shield back in 2019, I picked it up day one on its release, and if I'm honest, I found it to be a bit meh. There were excellent concepts, the gym battles were exciting, and the game does get some grace for being the first of its kind. They did try to reimagine and reinvigorate the Pokemon formula, and that is worth commending. But ultimately, the lack of endgame content really left a sour taste in my mouth. But then you see, there was the Gen 4 remake. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl came out, and I wasn't exactly pleased. Diamond and Pearl were my favorite Pokemon gens growing up, and I spent hundreds of hours in those games. I remember sitting underneath my friend's staircase as a 10-year-old in 2006, hiding from our parents to get more of them Pokemons. I even had the complete guide that I'd take to school, and we would open it up and talk about it during our lunch breaks. Now, I heard from friends that Game Freak had actually delivered some really exceptional experiences when it comes to remaking older games, adding heaps of new content, things to do, i.e. Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So, I was hyped for Diamond and Pearl's glorious return to form. However, in this remake, they added some new quality of life improvements to the game, but ultimately, even though this game seems to have been received well on the commercial front, it just didn't gel with me. One person online made a post that summarized all my gripes really well. If you're interested, give it a read. Anyway, if you're a bit out of the Pokemon loop like I am, you may or may not have heard that there was some decent buzz surrounding Pokemon Legends of Arceus. You know, that game many of us looked at and went, oh, yeah, that's not gonna work. Well, it seems like it did, and it's because of this I have my hopes high that Scarlet might deliver on a new enthralling Pokemon experience. I've really sidetracked this whole thing with this Pokemon discussion, haven't I? I'd love to know your thoughts on the state of Pokemon. Let me know in the comments below. Seriously though, from what we've seen, this one could build upon the previous 3D open world Pokemon experience, and I'm hoping it will be a good time. Also, lastly, I'm just hoping for a bit more difficulty too. The last few iterations have been boringly easy. I could be completely wrong on this one, but you know, I'm trying to stay optimistic here. The game comes out on the 18th of November, 2022. I've heard that the reimagining of Modern Warfare 1 was an incredible return to form for the COD franchise. Personally, I'm yet to play a Call of Duty properly past Black Ops 3. I fell off pretty hard there. My first experience playing COD games was Modern Warfare 1 back in 2007. I remember sitting in my room, literally just replaying the campaign over and over and over again on my PS3.
So it's your turn for the CQB test. Grab the rope when you're ready. Go, go, go! Hit the target! Flashbang through the door! That was an improvement, but it's not hard to improve on garbage. Try again.
Emotional damage!
I also remember getting an iPod Touch and just playing Call of Duty Zombies till all hours of the morning until my iPod became a literal toaster in my hand. And at that point, you just have to put that thing down. All in all, I guess what I'm trying to say is that from around 2007 to 2015, I was a committed fan, but something just felt off about Call of Duty after Black Ops 3. And I personally felt like the series lost its way and slipped off after that. Modern Warfare 2, again like the Modern Warfare reimagining of 2019, looks like a boots on the ground, cinematic blockbuster, high quality Call of Duty experience. It looks grounded, mature, and the graphics look phenomenal. It's being developed by Infinity Ward, which is reassuring to say the least. My main hope is that they keep the gameplay tight and rein in and just deliver a compelling campaign. I love COD Zombies. I've been a fan of it since the beginning, but I think we need to give that dead horse a rest. So personally, I cannot wait to give this game a try sometime in the future. The game launches on 28th of October, 2022. And now we're getting to the meat and potatoes, the final two games that I'm definitely going to be picking up and sinking some time into. In terms of sheer IP draw, meaning the excitement I have from the property alone, this next game takes the cake for me. Hogwarts Legacy.
I'm Chandler Wood, Community Manager here at Avalanche Software. I'm at our studio in Salt Lake City to let you know that Hogwarts Legacy will now launch on February 10th, 2023 for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC.
Now, before you go ahead and tell me this game is delayed, don't worry, I am aware. Truth be told, I was almost at the end of making this video when the delay was announced. I'm genuinely excited to play it, so I'm still going to talk about it here. Feel free to skip ahead to number 1 if you want to. Hogwarts Legacy is an action-adventure role-playing game that provides us with a new tale fixed in the wizarding world canon of Harry Potter. The game has you embark on your wizarding journey to Hogwarts as a 5th-year student. It promises to give players a chance to explore an open-world Hogwarts, much like the games of the past, only this time, the vision and scope are exponentially increased. I'm a huge fan of open-world Harry Potter games. I've played them all from Philosopher's Stone on PS1 and PS2 till Deathly Hallows Part 1. Skip that one. Yeah, we won't be talking about Deathly Hallows Part 2. That's the black sheep of the lot.
They're the same picture.
But honestly, each of these games were interesting in their own right. I particularly loved how they each gave Hogwarts its own unique personality and flair. Some had more movie-like depictions of the castle, while others, particularly the earlier games, had a more Metroidvania style approach, and filled the castle with copious amounts of little secrets to uncover. I love both approaches, so much so that I even played the Chamber of Secrets on PC earlier this year. If you haven't played it, it's a bit old, bit janky, definitely worth a try though. Honestly, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I can't wait to see how this latest project tackles the castle. From what we've seen so far, the Wizarding World seems much more realized this time around. You'll be able to visit multiple unique locations, such as the famous school, Forbidden Forest, and Hogsmeade. They're also adding an in-depth level of customization to character creation, which is always nice to see, and it seems like there are plenty of interactive gameplay mechanics like potion making, dueling, and much more to keep us busy in their world. For me, it's the little things that make this game stand out and look great. The small attentions to detail, like the kitchen being filled with house elves, the creature designs, environments, and atmosphere all ooze with thoughtfulness and dedication. Avalanche Software seems to be going all in on this one. Remember, this isn't Avalanche Studios, the people responsible for bringing us games like Mad Max and Just Cause. No, this is Avalanche Software, and their latest project was Disney Infinite in 2013. And whilst on the surface that might be a bit concerning, the team seems to be big Harry Potter fans and have gone into great detail about their dedication to the project. All this is to say, Hogwarts Legacy is looking fantastic. If you're curious to know more about the game, check out the March State of Play, which showcases 15 minutes of gameplay. Harry Potter is one of those IPs, like Star Wars, where I'm constantly feeling perplexed. And I'm left here scratching my head, asking myself, why aren't modern publishers making games for these properties? I mean, it's safe to say J.K. Rowling isn't gatekeeping the Wizarding World license, and would you look at the obnoxious array of mobile games Harry Potter has been subject to, it feels like no one is really taking advantage of this license.
Give me rent.
Well, now what an awful thing to see. But we're here to learn, so we'll move on.
Anyway, Hogwarts Legacy is definitely one to keep your eyes on. It's going to be a day one purchase for me when it comes out in February 2023. And now we have it. The last title on this list. Elden Ring aside, this title is unmistakably the most anticipated game of the year. God of War Ragnarok. 2018's God of War was incredible, untouchable in many ways. The storytelling married with the fantastic visuals and gameplay left me and many others speechless. It's a fixed point in gaming history, where the bar for what gaming could be was elevated. So inevitably, when a sequel was announced, we all got pretty excited. Just a bit. God of War Ragnarok is an action-adventure game developed again by Santa Monica Studios. And before we go any further, it absolutely has to be said that Santa Monica Studios are the reason why many of us are actually excited for this game. Their dedication to making quality video games is unparalleled, and it's infectious. I, like many others I'm sure, just can't help but get excited by whatever it is they're working on, because you know it's going to be made with all the effort and love the studio can muster. Quick spoiler warning for God of War 2018. Honestly, at the end of the first game, finding out that your son Atreus' real name was in fact Loki just obliterated my mind. The initial game told an interesting story about a father and his boy, and it's going to be interesting to see where they take it from here. And I'm curious to see how they develop Kratos and Atreus' relationship further with the foreknowledge that he is Loki, the god of mischief. You just know Santa Monica got some satisfaction dangling that carrot over our head and then wrapping up the first game. Not to mention, the original game ended with a small cutscene indicating that we'll be fighting all manners of Norse mythology, including mighty Thor himself, which, if it's anything like the Baldur fight at the end of the first game, I am so totally down. A plot summary for God of War Ragnarok has actually only just recently surfaced, and it says, Kratos and Atreus must journey to each of the 9 realms in search of answers, as Asgardian forces prepare for a prophesied battle that will end the world. And oh baby, does that sound incredible. In a recent 30-second trailer, we got a brief glimpse of Fenrir, a giant wolf that according to Norse mythology has a significant role to play in Ragnarok. But other than that, we really don't know too much about this game, and I cannot stress enough how great a thing that is. I can't wait to just grab a pizza, make a drink, sit on my couch, and experience this game for the first time. Also, it's been reported that this is the last God of War game enveloped in the Norse mythology. If that's true, then boy do they have a lot of ground to cover here. I'm hoping they pull it off. Either way, Santa Monica have earned good consumer trust. The game is in good hands. Who am I kidding? You guys probably already have this game on your radar. Even the head of Xbox, Phil Spencer, has said he's looking forward to it. God of War Ragnarok releases November 9, 2022, exclusively on PlayStation 4 and 5. I can't wait. Before I start wrapping up, I want to let you know that this list isn't comprehensive. There are a few more games coming out that are noteworthy. They're just not as near and dear to me as these games we've discussed. Although, I do want to give a special mention to one more game, Callisto's Protocol. The game isn't up my alley, but there is some seriously cool stuff to talk about regarding that game. Let's keep it brief. I'll just mention 2 quick things. First, the game was actually made by a bunch of passionate devs that left EA. You know, that game company that has been voted the worst company of the year since 2012? Yeah. That company. They absolutely torched the original game studio called Visceral Games, forcing those devs to come together and make their own studio. Let me know if you want me to go in depth a bit further with the whole Visceral Games fiasco in another video. Secondly, the game Callisto's Protocol was actually announced in December of 2020, but went dark for a number of years. Only recently, at this year's Summer's Games Fest, did we finally get another trailer, and boy did it dominate that event and pick up a lot of buzz. A big part of that buzz is how it's the spiritual successor to an older game series called Dead Space, and also because it's being made on the Unreal Engine 5. For those that are unaware, Unreal Engine 5 is the latest and greatest in game development software from Epic Games. If you want to know why that's such a great thing and a reason to be excited about, then there are 2 things you can do. First, if you have a PS5, go ahead and download The Matrix Awakens. It's a completely free on-rails shooter, but there's more. It's also chock full of information aimed to give the everyday player greater insights into the new technology that is going in to shape future video games. The second thing you could do is you could head on over to Digital Foundry's YouTube channel and check out a video like this one to get a deep dive into the tech. Anyway, that's it. Those are the games we're looking forward forward to. As mentioned earlier in the video, gaming has taken a bit of a dip over the last few weeks, so I'm genuinely curious as to what you've been playing lately to fill in those gaps. Also, what games are you looking forward to for the rest of the year? I'd love to know and talk all things video games in the comment section below. And finally, I just wanted to say a huge thank you for the love and support and comments that I got about my Obi-Wan Kenobi video that I posted a couple of weeks ago. It genuinely means the world to me. I'm still very new to this whole YouTube space and the complex realms of video editing, so seeing all that support just filled me up with the warm and fuzzy, so thanks. I'm excited to keep making videos in the future. Oh, and of course, special shout out to my new best friend, Aaron. Godspeed, Aaron. Anyway, until next time, have a fantastic day.